This week, for our final weekly tutorial, we are going to be going over Chapter 15, Exercise 49, Gift Card Sales. So, gift card sales states that for the holiday season of 2017, nearly 59% of consumers plan to buy gift cards. According to the National Retail Federation, millennials like to purchase gift cards. Consider the sample data in the file gift cards. The following data are given for a sample of 600 millennials. The amount they reported spending on gift cards over the last year, annual income, marital status, 1 equals yes, 0 equals no, and whether they are male, 1 equals yes, and 0 equals no. So what we are given is an entire data file in Excel for all of our information that they found from the study. And what needs to be done is we need to develop an estimated regression equation, test the overall significance at the 0.05 level, and then test the individual significance at the 0.05 level. So for part A, we need to develop an estimated regression equation that predicts annual spend on gift cards given annual income, marital status, and gender. So before we even begin any of this, we need to develop a regression table in Excel. In order to do this, you need to click the Data Analysis in the Data tab. So in the Data tab, you're going to select Data Analysis. And then after that, you're going to select Regression. Just like this. And press OK. After you press OK, select everything in column A for the Y variables. So in this case, all of our amount spent on gift cards is our Y variable because that is the dependent variable or the thing that changes based upon annual income, marital status, and gender. So that means put that in for the Y input range. So that means that we need to select columns B through D for our X variables because they are what determines how much money is spent on gift cards. So in columns B through D, this whole thing right here, we're going to put that in our X input range, and as always, select labels and press OK. At this point, you'll put out this big summary output table full of all kinds of different statistics, and at that point, we're ready to create our equation. So we know that the general equation for this is here with the y hat equals b0 plus b1 x1 b2 x2 etc. for how many variables there are. In this case we have 3 x variables, so we will go all the way up to b3 x3. So using our regression table, we need to figure out all of the coefficients. So we're going to fill in everything in our given equation that is a b. So that would be in the coefficients section of our table. And so b0 is the intercept, which is found in the first row of this table at negative 3.9995. b1 is the annual income coefficient, which is found right beneath the intercept, and b1 equals 0.0002, and b2 is beneath that. That is the coefficient for marriage, so that would be a value of 45.780, and for b3, that'll be male coefficient, which is underneath the married coefficient, which is 21.9176. So our final equation here is y hat equals negative 3.9995 plus 0.002 x1 plus 45.7809 x2 plus 21.9176 x3. For our part B of this equation, we need to test the overall significance at the 0.05 level. And this one is important because we're testing overall significance, which means we're testing the significance of all 3 of the variables together on this test. So in a single variable linear regression, you could use either an f-test or a t-test for this, but since it is a multi-variable linear regression, we can only use the f-test. So let's bring back up our regression table in order to start our f-test. So the first thing we have to do always is to find our null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. Our null hypothesis in this case is that all of the coefficients are equal to 0, and the null hypothesis means that at least one coefficient does not equal 0. So in order to prove or reject the null hypothesis, we need to find our alpha, the f value, the p value, and we know that alpha is 0.05 because that was given at the very beginning. Our f value can be found in our table right here under f, so we know that that is 620.1607. So the p value is written in our table as the significance f, which is 8.708 e negative 183. Obviously, 8.708 e negative 183 is much less than 0.05, which means we are able to reject the null hypothesis. So as this is a hypothesis, we have to give it a full conclusion statement, which would be at the 0.05 level, this model is significant. Part C asks us to test the significance of each individual variable using a 0.05 level of significance. Now, this is where we get to bring in our t-test. So our null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis in this case are if b1 equals 0 and b1 does not equal 0. In this problem, our b1 is equal to annual income, and just like in the f-test, we're going to need to find alpha, but in this case, we need to find t-values as well as p-values. So alpha is 0.05, we already knew this, and our t-value can be found under the t-stat section of annual income. This value comes out to be 6.7894. And then our p-value can be found right next to it in the column next to it at 2.7269 e negative 11. So this value is also less than 0.05, which means we reject our null hypothesis, which means that our annual income is a significant predictor of gift card sales. Now we just have to repeat this whole process with B2 and B3. So our B2 is the married coefficient, so alpha and t-value and p-value is 0.05. T-value is under here as 38.8062, and our p-value is right next to it as 8.444 e, negative 162. Of course, this value is much less than 0.05, which means we can also reject our null hypothesis, which leads to a conclusion that marital status is a significant predictor of gift card sales. If we continue this with our B3 value, which in this case is whether or not a customer is male, we will be able to find our T value of 18.24599 and our p-value of 2.0045 e negative 59. This value is also smaller than 0.05, which means we're able to reject the null hypothesis. So gender is also a significant predictor of gift card sales. If we wanted to put this together into one conclusion statement, we could conclude that annual income, marital status, and gender are all significant predictors of gift card sales. And thank you.